very much. Hello, everyone. I'm waiting for the music to finish. Hey, it's great to be at TechChill here in Riga. Thank you so much for having me. I'm ashamed to say it's my very first time here, but I promise it's not going to be my last. I want to talk about building what's next. Oh, okay. I want to talk about building what's next, how to get you from MVP to unicorn with the help of our platform. My name is Axel Täubert, and I'm the head of startups at Google Cloud for Northern Europe. My team is here to help you, founders mostly, to scale, build and scale on our platform with the help of technical expertise and also credits. So, before I tell you about how we do that and how you can benefit from our AI products, I want to talk about numbers and look at some stats. In criminal investigations, it's always a good idea to look at money, to follow the money. So let's look at money for a moment. So this is probably old news to you, but we've seen an immense increase in investments into AI. 2020, we were at $10 billion in Europe invested in AI startups, and that number has risen to all the way of 23.5 billion in 2025. And the share of money that goes into AI startups has risen from 20% to 35%. So that's great, right? That's pretty good. However, when you look at the US, I know we have a couple of people from the US here, we're just getting started and we need to catch up fast. And we need all of your help, your founders, to catch up with the US. I work for an American company, but I'm based in Germany. I love Europe. And the US was where we at in 2018. So that's like 6 years ago. In 2025, $222 billion went into AI startups, making up 65% of total investments into startups. So that's a huge number. So we're a little bit behind, okay? We need to pick up. And you're already doing some of that work because in the Baltics, even though you saw a slight slump, everyone did in 2023, 21, 22 were crazy. Investments have picked up last year to 600 million. So that's great after a significant decrease over the last couple of years. So Baltics are recovering, and more significantly, the number of investments as well as the total amount invested into AI startups has exploded. So that's amazing. We come from 8 million in 2023 to more than 200 million last year. So well done. And it's also the number of rounds has increased. So you're really investing in becoming an AI powerhouse. So I love that. Now, why is this all happening? Why is this happening so fast? I would say AI is one of these technologies that really shifts the economics and will have tremendous impact on how we build businesses and how we live together as a society. I think, though, there's three main reasons why AI has such a huge impact on startups. And these were former bottlenecks that are now gone. One being infrastructure in itself and the limits that you had in the past. Way back in the past, when I started my career, it was actual servers in the basement. You had to buy your own servers, maintain them. That was a prohibitive cost. And it was really, really expensive. Now, we solved most of that by offering services like AWS, our competitors, Azure, and Google Cloud. But still, you needed to provision servers, and it's just a lot of work just maintaining your infrastructure instead of focusing on your product. And with the help of AI, most of that is now gone. Data. Startups tend to collect loads of data, IoT startups, B2B startups, especially B2C startups, but making sense of that data is really hard. Used to be a lot of work, used to take forever. You can now do that with the help of AI, and it's speeding up things. And lastly, engineers were a bottleneck. They were scarce and expensive, and with vibe coding, everyone can build their first MVP. I'm not saying that we're going to completely displace or replace engineers, but we maybe need a little less of them, or they're not going to be as sparse as in the past. I think the latest stat that I saw is that 30% of the code at Google is now written by AI. Actually, fun fact, I had a lunch last week with an engineer, and I was asking him, hey, what are you currently working on? And he said, look, I just started anti-gravity before lunch, and it's coding what I need to deliver by the end of the day, and when I come back, I'll just review it, and then submit it. I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. So these three bottlenecks, I think, we have solved for, and therefore there's a new unicorn formula. It's basically half the team and quarter of the time that startups need to become a unicorn. And that's based on actual data. So before AI, the median number of employees was roughly 400 in Europe to become a unicorn, and it took 9 years. Sorry, I'm in front of the numbers here. 9 years. That has significantly decreased to 200 employees and 2 years on average. I'm not saying everyone is going to become a unicorn in 2 years, but on average. So, and founders are really moving beyond traditional stacks. They're using AI first to build their startups, and that's why everything is happening so fast. That also means that your competitors are faster than they used to be. That means you need to be faster than maybe in the past when you started your first or second startup and now you're thinking about your third, okay? Everything is happening much faster. And I would argue, and this is the only part of my sales pitch here really, Google is in a very unique position to help you because we have a completely vertically integrated stack. We have our own silicon. We started developing TPUs years back. They're much more efficient, they're cheaper, so I encourage you to look at TPUs instead of GPUs because those are scarce even for us. We have our own data centers, we have them globally, we're building new ones. I just learned we're building new ones in Arkansas, amazing. So yes, we need a lot of compute power and you can use that. We have our own network, like literally our own cable through the Atlantic, Pacific. So it's fully integrated and it's built to scale. It's the same data centers we use for YouTube, and Gmail, and search. So they were always built with billions of users in mind. We have a unified Vertex AI stack, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, so I'll skip over that. And we have our own models. So if you don't want to build your own models, which is expensive, you can use ours, or you can use our pre-trained models to just then build on top of that, use your own data to make them even better and fit your use case. And last but not least, that creates a significant economic moat because no one is fully vertically integrated, no one has their own TPUs, and I can tell you, no one can offer you better unit economics when it comes to tokens. By the way, Gemini 3, anyone used Gemini 3 or 3.1 before? It was completely trained with TPUs. We did not use any GPUs to train that model. So that shows you the power of our TPUs. Okay, but back to you and back to founders. I brought an example, I'm sorry it's a German one. MedWing is a medical platform for recruiting doctors and medical personnel, and they have integrated our AI products in their solution, and it's really working well for them. Now, I would say these are the three main components that will help you come from MVP to unicorn, or even to MVP first and then to unicorn. It's the Vertex AI, a unified ML platform for building, deploying, and scaling machine learning models. And it's literally by one click. You build something, you deploy it on Cloud Run, it will automatically scale from 0 to 100, thousands, millions of instances, and it will scale down to 0 again if you don't need it. So no costs on Cloud Run if you're not using it. And then there's tools like Gemini and anti-gravity, especially anti-gravity, I think it's a very strong tool, and we haven't really talked about it a great deal, so I want to show you a video later on that. Now, when it comes to Vertex AI, what is that actually? It's in our console, you can log into Vertex AI. It's an end-to-end machine learning stack with like many high-quality pre-trained models that you can adapt with minimal effort with your own data. And oh, fun fact, anyone used AutoML before? Does anyone know the product? AutoML is the reason why I'm at Google Cloud. I've been with Google for 15 years, and I should actually say graffiti is the reason why I'm with Google Cloud. I have a friend who's a graffiti artist, and in 2017, we discussed whether AI would be able to, identify graffiti artists just by taking a picture. And you might think, oh, that's boring. I mean, obviously that's going to work, but we're talking 2017. So I didn't know whether it was going to work because back then I was still at YouTube. So I went to my colleagues and we bet on, it was a hefty bet for a very expensive bottle of whiskey. So I went to my colleagues at Google Cloud, desperate to get help. And they said, look, we have this new pre-trained model, AutoML. You can just use data to enrich it. And I said, okay, what do I need to do? We need pictures and you need to label them. You need to scrub Instagram. And that's what I did. So I downloaded a lot of pictures, labeled them. We had AutoML train overnight, and it was spot on in 98% of the cases. So there's other models for medical use cases and very specialized use cases that you can enrich with your own data and make them work. And I want to mention the last point, our model garden. You don't need to use our own models. We have all the existing models out there from Anthropic and Claude to even Flux from Black Forest Labs. So all open source models and models that cost you, you can also use and buy off the model garden. So we're not limiting you to our models. We don't want to lock in on our models. And if you don't believe me, believe other founders. Ask UI is another good example of using Vertex AI and scaling with Cloud Run. So Cloud Run is a product that really takes you from 0 to hero in no time. So I want to show a little anti-gravity video. I hope that's going to work. Someone's shaking his head. That's not a good sign. It's not going to work. Okay. Now let me tell you about anti-gravity, and it's the best way I can without being an engineer. It's not just a vibe coding platform. It is a vibe coding platform, but it gives you much more control. You can look at the code, just annotate the code and tell them, oh, I would really like to change this. And then Gemini will come in and make a suggestion on how to change it. Again, our own engineers are using it to build Google products. So I have to believe it's good, because otherwise we'll have a problem at some stage. Also, anti-gravity is a tool that you can just log into and use without needing to train. It's super easy. Even I, in a small hackathon, built a product with it. So it's really easy to build your first MVP with anti-gravity, build a website with anti-gravity, and get started. So you have to believe me on this without seeing the video. Now, all this has led to significant increase in development speed. We saw, with traditional development, we saw startups take up to 6 months, or on average 6 months, to get to MVP, to really have their first minimum viable product. Now, we see on average it only takes 2 months with all these tools, and not just our tools. I know there's other tools like Cursor or Lovable, amazing story from Europe, so I love it. So you can really benefit from using AI in developing your products, and you should, because all your competitors are. So don't feel good about yourself releasing your MVP or testing your MVP after 2 or 3 months, because everyone else is there as well, okay? Maybe you should get it down to 1 month with the help of AI tools. But this is really why everything is accelerating, why everything is happening so fast. Now, lastly, I want to mention our credit program. And you might be at different stages in the startup lifecycle and journey. It begins here, you're bootstrapped, you might want to play around with our platform. Everyone gets $2,000 of credits, no questions asked. You just need a website just to play around with it. I know 2K doesn't take you very long, very far, but it's a start. Then we have an ecosystem tier, which we don't usually advertise, at least not on our website. It's when you are part of an incubator accelerator that is working with us. This morning I had a wonderful tour at Startup House here in Riga. They are not a partner yet, but we're working on it. So in case you're associated with an incubator accelerator, you will get $25,000 in credits, also no questions asked, and no funding needed. Then later in the scale-up phase, if you've gotten a VC investment or an investment from an angel, you are eligible for more credits that you can then use on our products. And afterwards, my friends and colleagues from a different team will help you find a commercial agreement when your credits are spent that is still favorable, and hopefully you will then continue using our platform. My team works this space. So whenever you are in your journey over here, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. And if you haven't done so, you can apply for the startup program now or later. You just Google it. You'll find it on the web. It's all there. It's all very transparent. All you need to do is apply, submit your application, and we will look at it. So with that, I want to end my little presentation, and thank you very much for listening, staying here. It's great to be at TechChill. I'm looking forward to coming back. Thank you very much.